first at 5.
Just thank God, that I was able to get out alive.
Alabamians thankful to see another day after Zeta left its mark across the southeast. Plus, another blow to farmers. What was expected to be a great year, knocked out by a 1-2 punch. And scrambling to get votes in. The last-minute rush as the clock winds down to Election Day. ABC 3340 News starts now with the Weather Authority.
Right now at 5, let's take this live look at part of the aftermath in Chilton County after Zeta roared through Alabama. Hundreds of thousands of customers still are without power statewide. And across the southeast, the death toll now stands at 4. One of those victims in Alabama's Clark County. The sky is, of course, much different now than what we saw 24 hours ago. A lot of blue sky this afternoon, and that certainly was a welcome sight. Good evening. I'm Pam Huff.
And I'm Brenda LeDunn. From west to east Alabama, the Weather Authority is taking us to the hardest hit areas of our state. First, we begin with the expert, Alabama's chief meteorologist, James Spann. James?
A different kind of day today. It's breezy, but nothing like those horrific winds we had during the pre-dawn hours. These are west winds, 16 miles per hour for Tuscaloosa, Birmingham at 25, Anniston 18, ushering in noticeably cooler air. It's much cooler on the western side of the state today, down to 49 for Haleyville, Tuscaloosa sitting at 57, Cullman 56, East Alabama still some 70s here, Anniston 71, Auburn at 73, but this time the cool air wins the battle. Everybody will be well down in the 40s tomorrow morning. We will see some clouds rotating in here tonight. This is an upper trough, so tonight will be mostly cloudy, no rain. The sun back in full force tomorrow. What about the Halloween weekend? I've got the 10-day forecast and much more coming up in minutes, so stay with us.
And parts of Chilton County are dealing with a lot of wind damage. Crews spent most of the day clearing trees and debris from roads. And power restoration efforts are still happening in some areas. All Chilton County schools will be closed again tomorrow to provide more time to get power back on. Maplesville is another hard-hit area of Chilton County.
Right now, that is where ABC 3340's Brian Pia is. Brian, downed trees, they're certainly a major problem they're having to deal with.
Pam and Brenda, take a look at this. This massive oak tree destroyed, demolished a mobile home. The owner of that mobile home was inside and left just 20 minutes before the tree fell. Jeremy Morris fell asleep on his sofa. He woke up around midnight when he heard the high winds and felt the trailer shake. So he walked a short distance to his parents' house. Shortly after that, the tree fell. Morris has no insurance. He'll stay with friends until he finds a permanent place to live. Today, his friends helped him gather his belongings. He's thankful for all the help.
Oh, you never know how many friends you got, because I had many phone calls this morning. Oh, man, you okay? Man, you okay? And you never know how many friends you got till something like this happens.
The tree fell on a neighbor's house just up the road. We're working on that part of the story for our news at 6. Live in Maplesville, Brian Pia, ABC 3340 News.
And our team coverage continues tonight in Shelby County, where a number of communities remain without power. Just moments ago, the Shelby County school system announced that all schools will remain closed Friday because of those power outages.
ABC 3340 Stephen Quinn joins us live. Stephen, crews have been working nonstop.
Yeah, very busy indeed, Brenda. The power crews across Shelby County, including the one right behind me here. This crew, we talked to them earlier, started their day around 7 o'clock this morning over in Vestavia Hills. They haven't stopped since, and they're still here now outside of Columbiana. The lights are coming on in some places, but there are still many in the dark as we are getting closer to sunset tonight. This is Highway 70 east into Columbiana, which is still closed this evening as work continues to try to clear this stretch of road. We met one family this morning trying to check on the restaurant they had just opened a week before. I asked the young woman if she was anxious to get there.
Yes, I still am, because, we got like the food in the fridges and stuff like that, so we don't want that to go bad. It kind of feels like a setback, but I know that how I would say is like we're going to bounce back. It's going to be fine. We're going to have better days.
You see those power crews here. This is really one of the last places along Highway 70 East that is blocked right now, so that certainly gives some encouragement that maybe this road right outside of downtown Columbiana may be open soon. Now, there are working also, who's working today? Poll workers in downtown Columbiana, where there was a location at the exhibition center for absentee ballot submissions and applications. Today's, of course, the last day to be able to apply. They used a generator to make sure that they were running here to make sure that everyone could meet that deadline. Live in Shelby County, Stephen Quinn, ABC 3340 News.
East Alabama cleanup crews are working to remove fallen trees from on top of houses and roads.
ABC 3340's Byron Khalil is live in Anniston tonight. Byron, volunteers plan to continue to try to lend a helping hand until all of that work is complete.
And I spoke with volunteers with the Calhoun Baptist Disaster Relief Team in the Sachs neighborhood. They had just finished off clearing off a tree, much like the one behind me, from blocking a road. Now, the crews moved on to a home on West 39th Street in Anniston. There, a homeowner needed help getting a tree off of her home. Now, at no cost, the crew is responding to calls like this. That group, though, is made up of volunteers, most of them retirees. Several of the members had recently returned from deployments to the Gulf where their help was needed. They say they're happy, though, to be helping out back at home.
Oh my gosh, it's the most exciting thing I do. I love helping others. I love mission work. And before I retired teaching, all I could think about was I'm going to be on this team.
Now, Calhoun County reported more than 300 emergency service calls following the storm. At 6, we're taking a closer look at some of the damage those crews are now working to resolve. Live in Anniston, Byron Khalil, ABC 3340 News.
Damage also widespread across North Jefferson County and, of course, parts of Shelby County.
ABC 3340's Maya Johnson is live. Maya, what damage have you seen?
Well, Brenda, I'm here at the intersection of State Park Road and Finley Drive in Pelham, where not too long ago, Pelham police had this area blocked off as crews worked to restore power in this area. Now, take a look at this house in Fultondale, where a tree split in half and knocked this house off its foundation. The homeowners were not there, but neighbors say they were safe in a hotel and no one was hurt. I also found damage in the Hoover area. As you can see, crews are working to lift a tree off this home. The tree completely uprooted. The homeowners tell me they were asleep and woke up to a tree in their bedroom. Thankfully, there were no injuries there. Here in Shelby County, crews are still working to restore power outages in multiple areas. As you can see, the trees are still split here at this intersection. Live in Shelby County, Maya Johnson, ABC 3340 News.
One person is dead in Clark County after a tree fell on top of a mobile home. This is in the southwest part of the state, north of Baldwin County. Officials there report widespread damage and power outages. In Mobile County, Citronelle city leaders are warning people to stay off the roads.
According to the police chief, a number of injuries already have been reported there. One man who lives in the area, though, says he is so thankful to have escaped his house without a scratch. That's after that tree came crashing down onto it. Joe Sewell says he was asleep when it happened.
Well, it was a death-frightening experience because I was laying in bed, and when the tree come in, all I could do was roll over in the bed, and the insulation all covered me, and wood from the ceiling and all come down in the bed with me. And I had to lay there a few minutes to get my bearings and see where I was, and I had to crawl out of the bed and find me a light to get started to head out of there.
But he is okay. Sewell crawled through a small space in his bedroom and he managed to get out. He says every room in his house except the kitchen is damaged. Now, Zeta initially left close to 500,000 customers without power across the state. However, at last check, Alabama Power now reports 348,000 outages still remain. The company says it is also working on an issue where customers may have problems logging into their online account or calling its customer service line.
3 other deaths have been reported in neighboring states. In New Orleans, Louisiana, a man died after he was electrocuted. First responders believe a wire from a transformer may have fallen on him while in the street. In Mississippi, a man was found dead from an apparent drowning at a marina in Biloxi. In Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, an oak tree fell through a mobile home, killing a man inside. Zeta's strength was also felt as far as upstate South Carolina. This is new video from Pickens County. A familiar scene, strong winds uprooted trees, tossing them onto homes. In North Carolina, this is what's left of a postal truck after strong winds from Zeta caused a tree to fall on top of it. Neighbors say the mail carrier was inside the truck when it happened. Thankfully, he just leaned out the window to put mail into someone's mailbox, and the tree just missed him.
Wow. The Weather Authority is always working for you. You can go ahead and download the free ABC 3340 weather app right now, and you can get constant weather updates. There's access to live radar and the 10-day forecast, and you can also turn on localized push alert notifications. It's been a really tough year for farmers. Zeta is just another blow in a long line of storms. We're going to tell you how farmers now are trying to keep their farms going.
And a metal debris mess on Highway 72 is costing drivers. We'll tell you why.
I'm Christine Frizzell, digging into the data of election-related terrorism. More on what we might be seeing in the coming weeks.
You're watching ABC 3340 News, awarded the Emmy for Best Newscast in the Southeast.
Right now across the state, there is a rush to get absentee ballots in and counted. Voters waited in long lines all afternoon to submit ballots. In Shelby County, generators had to keep the process running. That was at the county's exhibition center. People still showed up to vote. Alabamians can continue to vote in-person absentee at their county absentee election manager's office until November 2nd.
However, today is the last day to apply for an absentee ballot by mail. Once you receive your ballot, it must be turned in no later than 5 p.m. on Monday, November 2nd. You can mail the ballot in or hand deliver it at your county courthouse. If you have voting questions, our voter hotline is still open. You can call or text the number on your screen. That's 205-224-7117. If we don't answer immediately, we will get back to you. Many Americans are concerned about what the country will look like in the days and weeks after Election Day.
National correspondent Christine Frizzell reports there's some research that backs up those fears.
From the streets of Portland, Minneapolis, and Washington, D.C., and many places in between, large demonstrations calling for racial justice had one thing in common with gatherings like this, where thousands protested against coronavirus mask mandates and lockdowns. They brought people together, potentially helping like-minded Americans plan for what comes next, after Election Day.
Who wins and to what degree that triggers anger could tip us into slightly different directions.
Seth Jones is one of the authors of a new report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which predicts that if Joe Biden wins, the threat could be in more rural parts of the country and involve specific attacks by radicalized white supremacists and militias using firearms and explosives, with racial and ethnic targets including African Americans, Latinos, Muslims, and Jews. If Donald Trump wins, research shows the primary threat would come from large-scale demonstrations in cities, which could become violent. Perhaps one reason why cities like Washington, D.C. are already preparing, boarding up businesses with extra security personnel on hand. Experts say online, chatter is simply at a much higher temperature and more apocalyptic. Security experts do credit federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI for staying on top of this, including the recent foil of a plot to kidnap and harm the governor of Michigan. One thing helping them for now is a lack of hierarchy and organization for groups both on the far left and the far right.
There's a lot of decentralization right now. The concern, I think, after the elections is to what degree we start to see more organized networks.
A possibility he says law enforcement is likely already preparing for. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Federal agencies also are warning about a threat to our nation's healthcare system. Investigators say that cyber criminals are unleashing a wave of data scrambling extortion attempts that are designed to lock up hospital information systems.
An ABC 3340 News alert. Jobless claims are continuing to fall across the country and right here in Alabama. Statewide, 7,126 people filed first-time claims last week. That's about 840 fewer claims from the previous week. Half of the claims are COVID-19 related. Initial jobless claims are down by 40,000 nationwide. About 751,000 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits last week. Continued jobless claims stand at nearly 8 million. Alabama's in-person unemployment claims center will reopen tomorrow. The center closed today due to power outages as Zeta moved through our state. Everyone with scheduled appointments today will be worked into the schedule throughout the day tomorrow.
Happening now, widespread damage from Zeta is being assessed, as you might imagine, in numerous counties across this state. This is new video in from Montgomery. Neighbors there say a 93-year-old woman was in her front bedroom of that house when a tree fell on the house. Firefighters were able to safely help her out, and she is now staying with family that live nearby. While people are assessing the damage around their homes, farmers also are trying to pick up the pieces. 2020 has been really difficult for farmers all across the state and, in fact, across the country. ABC 3340's Alex Durrence tells us that this storm is just another item on the list that farmers have had to deal with in 2020.
This has become a sight too familiar for Richard Edgar, coming out to his field and seeing the damage from a storm. He stood in his field a month ago after Hurricane Sally came through. Now he's doing it again.
It was not anything I was hoping for, but it's kind of, one of those things we just have to take it as it comes and deal with it and, just move on.
His cotton took a beating. The ground polka dotted with bolls of cotton. He lost about 5 to 10% of his crop due to Hurricane Sally.
Edgar tells me they were able to harvest cotton in this field just before the storm came through. Because of Zeta, he says they're now looking at about a 15% loss in their other field.
Farmers elsewhere around the state are also picking up the pieces, like Matt Smith, who owns a sod farm in Pell City. This is getting into his slow time of the year. There will be some extra expenses to clean up the damage.
We sustained some losses like everybody did, but we'll get through it. The important things are all still intact. Everything's replaceable and rebuildable, so we're optimistic.
And we'll still carry on. Alex Durrence, ABC 3340 News.
Farmers who had damage now are encouraged to fill out damage surveys through the Alabama Farmers Federation.
Now, your latest forecast from the Weather Authority.
It is a breezy and cool afternoon across Alabama. That's our Skycam in Jasper. They dropped down to 54. A very chilly west wind averaging 18, gusting at times to 25. Nothing like those pre-dawn winds we had with Zeta. The winds will gradually die down later tonight. College football weather looking good for Saturday. UAB at Louisiana Tech in Ruston, Louisiana. That's a 2:30 kickoff, sunny and 66. Auburn hosting LSU Saturday at 2:30, sunny and 71 at the kickoff there. And Alabama, an evening game at Bryant-Denny Stadium against Mississippi State. The sky will be clear, 64 at kickoff, upper 50s by the second half of that ball game. Pretty strong winds developing today. Again, nothing like the winds early this morning. It's 25 miles per hour for Birmingham, 24 for Gadsden. This is ushering in some noticeably colder air with a sharp thermal gradient across the state. East Alabama, some spots are in the 70s. Auburn 73, Anniston 71. However, look at the cold air coming in. Haleyville down to 49, Cullman 53, Birmingham sitting at 60, and this time the cool air wins the battle. Everybody will be well down in the 40s tomorrow morning. Zeta is on the way out to sea. That's moving off the middle Atlantic coast. There is an upper trough rotating into North Alabama, so for that reason we'll see some clouds tonight. There could be some drizzle mainly over the Tennessee Valley, most of you with no rain tonight. And once this feature passes, we'll be back in bright sunny weather tomorrow. Dry through next week. It is a nice quiet pattern. Seasonal temperatures temperatures for the weekend. Colder Monday, a good chance we're going to see frost in many areas early next week, especially on Tuesday morning, and maybe a freeze for the colder valleys. We'll be in the upper 40s tomorrow morning. This is for Birmingham. If you're north and west of Birmingham, you might wind up in the upper 30s early tomorrow morning. So we're still watching the tropics. Keep in mind hurricane season runs through the end of November. The next wave coming across the Windward Islands, there is a 60% chance this becomes a depression or a storm in the far southwest Caribbean. That could drift into Central America. A little too early to call, but for now, the Gulf of Mexico is quiet. And by the way, we still have names left this season. We have used up Zeta, but there are 18 more names in the Greek alphabet. If we have another tropical storm, the next one will be called Ada. Here's a look at temperatures hour by hour. Overnight tonight, we'll see the clouds moving in. Again, most locations dry. We'll be in the 40s early tomorrow morning, but the sky becomes sunny tomorrow afternoon, the high 63. Halloween, sunny and 71. Pretty much the same thing on Sunday, back on standard time. Colder next week, lows well down in the 30s. By Monday and Tuesday, with a chance of widespread frost, especially Tuesday morning. Catch my forecast every day on great radio stations around the state, including 97.3 Play.
All right, thank you, James. Finding a way to celebrate in the middle of a pandemic. Next at 5, the Trunk or Treat event with a twist that's happening tonight.
Plus, what can you expect when you head out to vote? All new on ABC 3340 News at 6, the concerns from voters who are wanting to stay safe.
A massive metal spill on a North Alabama roadway ruined car tires for dozens of drivers. This is new video of the major cleanup operation on Highway 72 in Colbert County. It's believed the metal shavings blew off an 18-wheeler, but the truck responsible for the mess has not been identified. Some University of Alabama employees will soon be back on campus. The university is working to get faculty and staff back by November 9th. Those plans will include adjusting workspaces and providing safety equipment. The goal is to have remote employees on campus a minimum of 2 to 3 days a week.
Well, COVID-19 related staffing shortages now have forced St. Clair County schools to be ready to transition to e-learning. Students in St. Clair County schools will work remotely for a week and a half starting Monday. The school system made that switch after an increase in staff absences and, of course, out of concern for not having enough substitutes available. A drive-through trunk or treat kicked off this hour, in fact, along Calera's Main Street. The group Calera Main Street, along with the church, are making all of the treats available tonight. By the way, this event runs until 7 o'clock. If we hurry, maybe we could get there.
Sure.
Alabama's weather windy, noticeably cooler this afternoon. In fact, a bit blustery out. We've got 49 now, upper 40s at Haleyville. Currently 53 for Cullman. Jasper sitting at 54. We have an upper trough swinging through here tonight. That's bringing some clouds, maybe some drizzle for the Tennessee Valley. Most locations will stay dry. The sun comes back in full force, and for the weekend, the weather looks fantastic and even colder air coming in here by the first couple of days of next week. In fact, we might have some frost on the ground by Monday and Tuesday morning. Some of the colder pockets, possibly with a freeze, but the weather dry through next week. We'll update the weather coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll see you then.
All right. Thank you, James. And that is our report for this evening. For Pam Huff and James Spann, I'm Brenda LeDunn. World News Tonight with David Muir is coming up next.